Welcome to Life in LA, a look at people and places in Lower Arkansas, our LA. Lower Arkansas is made up of the 15 southernmost counties in the state. Join us each week as we talk to some of the people who make this part of the world such an interesting place to live. And now, let's join Life in LA with our host, Steve Ford.
I'm sitting today in a place that has special memories for me. I'm sitting on the front pew of Macedonia Baptist Church here in Macedonia, Arkansas, and I am privileged to be sitting not right next to, but close enough that I could touch him if I wanted to, the pastor, Brother Joe Owens. Brother Joe, welcome to the podcast Life in LA.
Thank you, Brother Steve. I had never expected I'd ever do anything like this in my life.
You didn't think you'd ever be on a podcast. Well, we hope this one goes well and all of your friends and family get to listen to it.
I hope so.
Speaking of friends and family, tell us a little bit about who you are.
Okay. Grew up in Texarkana, Texas, Liberty ILO boy, and married a Liberty ILO girl, and we have one son named Kelly Owens, and he pastors the church we left, Hillcrest Baptist Church in Texarkana.
Is that right?
Yeah. And have 3 grandchildren, Liam and Gemma and Emery.
Want to get their names in prominently.
Oh, that's right, that's right.
All right. So you didn't grow up a Baptist.
No, I grew up in the United Methodist Church, and my mother and sister and brother are still members there, even though it's Buchanan Community Church now.
Mm-hmm. How did you ever become a Baptist? Did you have an epiphany? Did you have the heavens open up?
Kind of like that, yeah. It was a woman.
Oh,
my wife was a Baptist.
Your wife was a Baptist.
Yeah, and excuse me. Mm-hmm. At the time we started dating, I wasn't involved in church a whole lot, and so I got involved in her church and been there. I was there from 81 until 2007.
Wow, what church was that?
That was Hillcrest Baptist Church in Texarkana, Texas.
Mm-hmm. How did you ever get into the ministry?
Well, it was all, it's God's plan, I hope.
Yes, yeah, we all hope that.
I had a pastor at Hillcrest who had been a missionary in Mexico for 27 years, and when he came back and started pastoring Hillcrest, he just would take me everywhere he went, and that
he was Paul and you were Silas,
that's exactly right. I mean, on my days off, we would no telling what we would do, and so he just that just grew from there.
That is one of the greatest way to multiply yourself. Take somebody with you when you go.
Yep,
I've heard that said.
Yeah,
lots of times. Now you made this statement when we were visiting. I don't know if you'll repeat it or not, but I mentioned you're not from South Arkansas.
No, Texarkana, Texas, a real Texan, I guess you would say.
Mm-hmm. And so you come over here to minister.
My wife calls it our foreign mission field.
Your foreign mission field to the Arkansans.
But I think now when we visit our family in Texarkana and we come back, I send them a text and say we made it home. So I guess this is home now.
Yeah. Your wife, I think you said, is from Mississippi.
She was actually born in Texarkana, but all of her family, her mother and father both grew up in northern Mississippi.
Mm-hmm. So she's a little closer to them.
And she works at Magnolia Hospital. She's in medical records
I see
at
you
Magnolia.
down there all the time, too. Well, I used to more often than now.
She got me to volunteer, and I hate to quit, something, and so I take care of the chip machines.
In fact, I see you all over town. I saw you this morning out at Wentworth.
At Wentworth. One of my members is the administrator, Chris Willis, at Wentworth.
With a name like Willis, why am I surprised? There's some Willises out here, aren't there?
Oh, yeah. And when he came there, he said, we need to have some devotional chapel services or something out here. And so I do at least 2 on Tuesday morning, one in the Brown House and one in the main house.
Oh, yeah, my mom, I made sure she got there this morning.
I saw her this morning, and she told me you had to leave.
Yeah, I had. In fact, I was doing another podcast this morning.
Oh, okay.
I'd gotten behind, and now I'm trying to get caught up. And so I've been wanting to get you on microphone for some time. Joe, the nice thing about a podcast is I always tell people I have a face that's made for radio.
Yeah.
So it doesn't matter much what we look like.
There you go.
Well, it's what we sound like.
Right.
So you were actually working at Cooper Tire?
I did. When we got married, I was an electrician working construction. I worked in New Iberia, Louisiana, Del Rio, Texas, and a lot of places in Texarkana. But then after 10 years and having a son, I got an opportunity to go to Cooper Tire, and I took it. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And I loved it. I loved Cooper Tire.
Yeah.
Yeah. I would have never left if God hadn't had intervened.
How did he intervene in that?
Well, I got called into the ministry.
Oh, yeah. I think you said you were a deacon first.
a deacon, Sunday school teacher at Hillcrest Baptist.
Then called into the ministry.
Called into the ministry. And I was never actually the pastor of Hillcrest Baptist Church. I was the interim pastor at one time, and I was the associate pastor at one time, but I never was.
You got some good experience.
I did.
I noticed that all of our experiences, God has a way of using those.
And I quote my mentor, Brother Buddy Johnson, a lot, and some of his quotes I can't share, but his main quote that he's famous for is, God honors four things, W-O-R-K.
Oh, yeah. Well, most preachers, don't they just work on Sunday?
Yeah, that's what most people
say.
Right, yeah.
But you had told me you were working on the sprinkler system
Working on the sprinkler system.
Did something go wrong with it?
I hit it with the lawnmower, but there I was mowing the grass.
Oh, that's a good thing. That's a good thing. It's got to be done. Sometimes you have to get the oxen out of the ditch.
There you go.
So Macedonia is sort of a historic church. It's been around a while.
It is. Established in 1855. And I tell my wife, when Matt Dillon was shooting people in Dodge City, Macedonia was 20 years old.
Wow.
In 1875, a lot of that was taking place. And so,
both my grandparents went to church out here. Claudia and Adley Ford. In fact, they're buried out there with my great-grandparents also. Wow. It's funny, my great-grandparents were charter members of Central Baptist Church back in 1907, but they apparently didn't stay there long. They came on down south and had the Ford chair factory down in this area.
I've got a couple of those Ford
I was going to say, you probably got some Ford chairs.
My wife got them there at the house.
Yeah, they're solid. They are solid, but we don't want to get off talking on the chair factory. You have a cemetery next to the church also. It's got some old tombstones, I would guess.
Yes, old tombstones, and I can't even tell you how old the oldest one is out there. We have people that take care of that. It's separate from the church, basically, as far as financially and stuff like that.
That's a blessing.
Yeah, and have somebody else taking care of it, overseeing all that.
Right. I know one of the things that you do, and my mom was able, she'd say, let's go out to Macedonia. Is it the First Friday?
First Friday Fellowship, and before COVID, I call it BC. BC, we were doing it every month. We did it for years, for every month. And now, since COVID, we've cut back to every 3 months.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so we did it in May, and we'll do it again in August. And it's just mainly a Macedonia people. Not people that live here, but people that are from here. And we just like to get together and eat lunch. And
well, the food's always good when Baptists get together.
Oh yeah, you got that right. Baptists know how to cook.
And you usually have the main dish, or
the main dish. Macedonia will take care of that, getting that.
And then everybody brings their I guess everybody in the Baptist church knows how to do it.
They all got a casserole dish.
Yeah.
Or a crock pot nowadays.
Or it's up here at the church with their name on the bottom of it. That happens sometime also. So I guess you would say, now Macedonia, can't even say that it's a town anymore.
No, I guess you would say it's just a community.
I remember, though, reading back in one of the old newspapers, there was an article, and just reading back through the local news, and it said the Macedonia baseball team number 2 was going to be playing against. They had
read
2
some
baseball teams.
Well, and if you go back in the history, I don't go back. I don't look back that far, but when Brother Harry Atterbury was the pastor here, they were running 150 people.
Wow.
Yeah, and that's probably when they added on the education wing and the fellowship hall, maybe a little later than that, in the late 60s, early 70s.
It's a beautiful building and well maintained. I believe you said you all had done some remodeling inside.
We had all the paneling painted, which just lightened it up and took all the curtains off the windows, and so it just really lightened up a lot in here.
Oh, it looks so
And
nice.
recovered these. We recovered all the pews and new carpet.
New carpet.
New carpet.
Wow.
Yep. When we pulled the pews out, we just took care of everything on the floor.
Well, you start working on one part, and then there's no quitting, is there?
No, you just lead you into something else.
Yeah. I see the old fire truck is parked out front, just a stone's throw from here. Are you a volunteer fireman?
I got on the volunteer fire department when I moved down here, and they watch me because if I get too hot,
Oh, I tell you to.
yeah, what's that guy? And I found out one day there was a big fire down here in 2011. About 400 acres burned, and we were all involved in that. And I got down, and they wound up putting me in an ambulance. And the guy in the ambulance said, "I don't know what's wrong with your heart, but we got a problem." And so at the time, we just had to cool me down, and everything was fine. But I went later to a doctor and found out that I have an enlarged valve, which means that the hole in the middle of it's smaller. So as long as I'm just doing that stuff like this, I don't have a problem.
But if you get
If
overheated,
I get to a certain point, it goes to pumping, trying to move oxygen, and my heart rate. When the last time I had a stress test, Dr. Murphy managed to get it up to 180 beats a minute.
oh gosh, I'm not getting mine up that high, but then,
Mostly not doing it on purpose.
no. So what's ministry like out in a community?
Well, I may tell people, I may have said this before, I don't know, that I'm not much of a preacher, but I love pastoring. So I love getting around and seeing the people, and I love being a part of their family, And I tell people I left my mom in Texarkana, but I got several Macedonia mamas,
The Bible says no one has given up land or family that I've not rewarded. And we found that to be the case for us.
Yes.
You may have given up someplace, but the Lord more than recompenses.
Yeah. We had a member, birthday was Saturday. She was here Sunday, turned 96 years old.
Oh my!
Saturday.
Yeah. Wow. Some of our senior adults could teach us a little bit about a church attendance.
That's right. Yeah. Dedication.
You use that phrase BC, before COVID. It has changed everything.
It has. I think we're almost back, to about what the numbers were, if we look at numbers, but we're missing some people,
Somebody said it's given them permission not to show up.
Yeah.
And it's sad to see.
And most of the ones, they're older, and, that was a scary thing, not knowing if you were going to catch COVID from somebody, and it made a big impression on some of our older people that, man, I might just need to stay away from people, mostly,
Yeah, I hadn't given much thought to it lately. Both my wife and I came down with it. It was last year. You'd almost thought, well, we're through it. And then I hope it doesn't pop up again. I haven't heard of any cases around.
Magnolia Hospital finally, I think last week, did away with masks.
Oh.
But mandatory. You didn't have to wear them,
We're not going all the things you could talk about, the mask controversy, the inoculations, everything else. I'm glad it's over, but maybe the Lord was using that to prepare us and to shake out the folds of His garment.
That's right.
And I think that dividing of the goats and the sheep will come one day, won't it?
Everything is headed toward that direction, to where one day Jesus is going to come back.
Yeah. So what are you preaching from these days?
We're in the book of Acts right now on Sunday morning. Not necessarily verse by verse, but maybe kind of situation by situation, maybe a way to say it.
This past Sunday was Pentecost Sunday, wasn't it?
It was, yeah. And, I think this past Sunday was, see, look, I'm having a senior moment here. We were talking about Ananias and Sapphira. That was this past Sunday.
Yeah. There is a sin that leads to death.
Yeah.
And that was certainly the case for them, wasn't it?
Yeah.
What challenges do you face as a pastor of a historic church out in the community like this?
When I came here, I thought the challenges would be that people were used to seeing something a certain way, and they didn't want to see it any different.
Yeah.
And I found that really not to be the case. I found that, now I say that, a few changes I made probably ruffled some feathers, but I use this and I say that it takes a big ark to turn a big boat. You can't just turn it all of a sudden. Things have got to, and so the painting, even sometimes, how painting of a paneling can never, it was so smooth, everything went along good.
And there have been plenty of churches that divided over the color of the carpet.
That's exactly right. Yeah. So I don't know. I'm always pretty positive. see any challenges. I try not to irritate people. Mm-hmm. I don't want to do it on purpose.
What do you think people in this post-COVID generation most need to hear? Is there a message that folks in today's world most need to hear?
I think they need to hear that God is love. Now, He's just, but, and Jesus said we're to love others like He loved us. Mm-hmm. And, there's so many things that divide us these days, but the Bible says that we should all love each other.
And unfortunately, sometimes Christians are the first to throw stones.
Yes.
And that we ought to be the first to show love.
I agree completely. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. It's a different world that we're living in today.
Well, I guess I was called into the ministry. I was 48 years old. And I had been in a Baptist church for, 20 years already, and been in a Methodist church for 20 years before that, probably. And so I've seen or heard or dealt with just about everything that could come up. And, I've had preachers say, this is the problem, and I've heard most of the old sayings, man, sometimes you got a stump, you just got to plow around it and keep going or something.
Oh, that is
But so I don't know. I don't expect a lot of things to catch me off guard. Mm-hmm. And I'm saying that now, so there'll probably be something tomorrow catch me off guard. But
maybe so. You don't claim to be a prophet, but what does the future hold for Joe Owens?
Well, I don't. That is we do look occasionally. I'll be 65 in December.
You are kidding. You don't look 65.
Well, thank you. I appreciate it. You need to work your glasses, yeah. So I'm going to be on Medicare in 6 months. And so I don't know. My wife talks of retirement. Who knows if I'll be in Macedonia forever or not. I don't know.
Yeah.
All of my family, her mother and my mother, my son and all those are all Texarkana people. So we still have places to stay when we go to Texarkana.
Oh, that's good. Do you get over there pretty often?
Oh yeah. Probably. I'm planning a trip Thursday right now, but we go. I may go more than she does, but I go once a week most of the time. Maybe not always, but sometimes once a week.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we get over there pretty often. We're always looking for the next new place to eat.
Oh,
and I found a few good ones.
They're supposed to be opening a new barbecue place. We keep the Texarkana Gazette on the internet.
Oh.
We get to look at it because my mother has a subscription to it, and so we look at it every morning just about. But they're opening a new barbecue place across from the Walmart over there. The Walmart on the Texas side.
Texas.
Yeah, over there.
I might have known you'd go to the one in Texas.
That's where my people are.
Well, we got to stick with our people.
Yeah.
How long do you have to stay in South Arkansas before they consider you to be one of them or one of us?
I don't know. I'm thinking they consider me that now. So I guess maybe 15 years or something. I know for 3 or 4 years I was the new preacher at Macedonia. And
the new preacher.
Being 50-something years old, I didn't think I'd ever be considered new again.
When we were missionaries in West Africa, I remember we'd tell the folks, we want to learn your languages and your customs and your habits, and we want to become just like you. And they would kind of nod knowingly, but they would say, a rock can stay in the stream 100 years and it never becomes an alligator.
It's amazing to me the things that traveling 60 miles, I had never, to my knowledge, had hot water cornbread before I moved to Lower Arkansas.
Are you kidding me?
I'm not kidding you. There's no restaurant that I know of in Texarkana that has hot water cornbread on the menu.
Oh, you can get it here at Marlar's.
I know it.
And my mom, that was one of her specialties. Well, we might fight over who got the pulley bone, but we all wanted to get 2 or 3 pieces of that hot water cornbread.
And I was when I was in school, I was in forestry class at Liberty ILO and on the team, and I hunted all my life. And so I get out in the woods here and I see a tree, and I'm like, I've never seen this. I've never seen a beech tree before.
Really?
Yeah.
They're different kind of trees over here.
Different kind of trees, just in the Sulphur River bottoms, and then down here in the Dorcheat bottoms and stuff.
Mm-hmm. You are sort of in the Dorcheat bottoms around here.
Pretty close. And Mill Creek, there's Mill Creek runs behind here, and Dorcheat's not too far. If you cut through the woods over here, it's not too far.
Mm-hmm. Do you do much hunting?
I do a little bit. I'm not as serious as I used to be, but I would like, my plan would be if I could harvest one deer a year,
Oh,
that's all I need to eat. And I didn't get one last year because my wife had scheduled a trip with the kids to Disney World, and it came in November, and
You didn't get to go.
I did, but I didn't get that prime time, that first week of season and stuff, Because normally my hunting season lasts one day.
You want to get one for your ego and for the deep freeze.
Yeah. Now, I don't have any trouble hitting them with a car. I just have trouble finding them. I hit one in July of last year, and I hit one in February of this year.
Oh, man. You're due for another, I hate to tell you.
I hope not. But it's going to the prayer breakfast. We also have that prayer breakfast at Mahler's on Tuesday morning at 6 o'clock. And so 5:30. At 5:30.
They're moving around at that time.
They're moving around. Yeah, people say that devil's trying to keep you from coming to the prayer breakfast. And I say, well, I got an old car, so I'm just going to keep hitting them.
Yeah. Well, keep the woods cleared out a little bit of them. Joe, it has been a pleasure talking to you.
It's been a lot of fun.
And maybe, who knows, maybe I could come down and preach for you some
You
Sunday.
bet. I don't have a problem with that.
Well, we won't go there. We won't go there. But we have such fond memories of Macedonia Baptist Church, and I've been down to a few of the fellowship meals. I'll have to put it on my calendar when the next one is.
I'll have to put you on my text list.
I'm already on there.
Oh, okay. You're getting the text.
There.
Okay.
Great.
I have about 45 people on there.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, if they'll all bring a dish, we'll have a great time then.
That normally doesn't happen.
All right, Joe. Thanks so much for visiting with us.
You bet.
And being a guest on Life in L.A.
Thanks for listening to Life in LA. Feel free to contact us at steveford@gmail.com if you have a suggestion for a future topic. And as always, tell others about this podcast and share it on your favorite social media. You've been listening to Life in LA, a production of Steve Ford Photography.